Good evening. Happy New Year's Eve. This is Operation Fatherhood coming back at you with the next live stream, the last live stream for the 2021 year. Um, so, again, for those who are able to check it out, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Appreciate those who've been subscribing. Let me go ahead and give love to Rob Lee and Brian Wood, my latest subscribers. I appreciate you all as we continue to try to build this channel to 1,000 subscribers. So that's the goal, and always trying to be a blessing to my fellow fathers and the next generation and my two beautiful people, Elaine and Elijah. So tonight, I want to touch on a couple things. One dealing with um, uh, encouragement for divorced dads, and what I would call right now resolution. One of the um, let me touch on the encouragement for divorced dads first. So, recently becoming a single parent, recently becoming a divorced dad. That's kind of I joined a group almost immediately when I found out my ex wanted to go this route of divorce. I joined up with the group, and just saw the stories of a lot of brothers in the group. And excuse me, I always feel like I'm yawning every time I get on live stream. My bad. Um, but anyway, um, joined up with that group, divorced dads group, and realized just how many fathers out there. And I imagine it's similar for those women out there who were mothers who had to um, be surprised by divorce with their ex-husband. Um, but you realize just how damaging and how hurtful and upsetting it is for a lot of dads. And kind of the sad thing about a lot of men I noticed is kind of we're just struggling with thoughts in your mind. When you're like, I'm here by myself, right? So I don't have my kids now. My kids are with their mother, and to have to deal with that, it's a sad thing. It's a depressing thing to some degree, um, and it's just very, very tough. You're waking up, especially when you're an intentional father like myself. That's a big reason for my channel is to build up fathers, to encourage fathers, to really figure out ways in the future. I feel like that's my purpose, to try to figure out ways to help um, fathers everywhere, because it's more to fatherhood than just having babies and playing games with them from time to time. But anyway, the thing is that when you go from day to day having your children, right? So mornings you see them off to school, or take them to wherever you take them. I used to take my children to babysitters first, and then I taking them to godparents, or taking them to daycare schools or daycare centers. Um, and then last year from 2019, no, 2020 to 2021, we had started taking them to a school that, initially they really weren't trying to have, I think, 2-year olds, but because we had our 2-year old, and the head mistress of the school had a 2-year old, she was willing to have, I think at the time they kind of had talked about it. They had the money for it. Could they handle that? Stuff like that. And so they agreed on it. I think for those two, and I think there may have been another 2-year old to have at the school, but they were kind of gonna phase it out, right? Um, so anyway, make a long story short, what's up, cuz? Happy New Year's to Miss Nay and Mr. Drew. Hope y'all are doing well. And so, uh, you know, every day I was taking my children to school. And so that was a huge, huge, huge blessing to be able to do that. And every afternoon, and one day I think I'll get more into my story of how I was able to drop them off and pick them up and all that stuff. But, basically every afternoon I was picking my kids up too, when I had a full-time job and when I had a part-time job during 2020, 2021. So anyway, say all that to say is that the thing about being surprised by divorce is that though I don't wish it on anybody, um, is having, your kids every day. And then when you have to go through the divorce, you don't get to have them every day. You have to um, really take, time to take care of yourself in that time that you don't have them. So I tried to good to hear that, Miss Nate. Glad to hear y'all doing good. And folks I'm talking to, those of you who are watching, if you ever see me respond in the chat section, I'm talking to different people. So that's my family right there. So it's not a fun thing. That's why I say I don't wish divorce on anybody. I know nobody does, but you know anybody who's ever feel like they're having a tough time understanding their spouse, or especially if you so called Christian. I'll call out a Christian in a heartbeat. You know, um, so anybody who's a friend or family member of mine, and they come to me, man, I just don't think it's gonna work out anymore. I'm probably gonna rake you over the coals. You had to really, if you love me and you come to me for wisdom on that topic, because I've gone through it now, and you want my thoughts on it, I'm gonna be real with you. Um, so anyway, I said all that to say is that the thing is, when it comes to not having to have your children on a daily basis, that messes with a lot of dads' heads. I did a video recently, and some of you all probably even heard about it. There was a cat out in Maryland. Actually, I think he was in the area that I grew up in as a kid. I think it was in Howard County, Maryland, which is where I grew up. And anyway, he, you know, it's sad. He basically, had some issues with his ex-wife and his ex-girlfriend, who both he had children with. And I think his words, we'll never know their words, or at least us being on the outside. His words were they were basically making him out to be the bad guy, and not really taking him to court, so he really couldn't see his kids, stuff like that. He was going through depression, and he took their lives, and also took his own life. And the sad thing about that is, I'm thinking to myself, I get it. You're hurt, and going through depression and stress. um and there's certain parts of that I can't get. 'Cause like I said before, I was fortunate. I never really went through depression, like a real, like, every day, every night, woe is me, and I know there's more to depression than what I'm saying, but I know for myself, I never really went through a depression, even now. Um, but he took their lives, he took his life, and that's just sad and uncalled for, because at the end of the day, um, us divorced dads, and those divorced moms out there too. But this channel is about fatherhood. So these divorced dads, us divorced fathers, we got to take care of ourselves, man. We have to um, really make sure we're taking care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually. For those of us who are spiritual or believers, religious believers, we take care of ourselves. I think I said mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. All right. So one of the things that's been for me is to work on losing weight. I remember that was like when I was telling my father and my second mother, what I was going through. My dad's big thing was like, homeboy, you need to lose some weight. Now that would my dad's not mean spirited, or he doesn't have a heart, right? Like, he talking about other stuff, but he was just like, you need to work on yourself now. You got to work on yourself, for yourself and for your children, and obviously ultimately for my Lord, for God. And so, you know, that was one of the issues that I had when I was married. I didn't work on myself like I should have. I got diabetes. I got to take care better for myself so I could, be here for my children. And um, that thing being is that I think a lot of guys, when they are going through down this road of divorce, they don't really think about that. It's real easy for men to get in a kind of a comfort zone. Not all of us, but many of us get in a comfort zone because we're married. We think everything's good, and all that good stuff, and forget about the day to day of taking care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So then when the tough times come, when if a woman leaves you or whatever, or for some women, man leave you, now you're kind of going through this tough spot, which depression can hit you any kind of way. It doesn't just take divorce, obviously, but if you're especially struggling with depression, then you need to seek help, and you need to have a community, and you need to have a spiritual father, have a prayer partner. um my biggest thing is making sure that you take care of yourself. That is a very, very sad thing, I think, that I was noticing in the divorce dads group that I'm in, is a lot of guys, excuse me, they I'm not gonna say they don't take care of themselves completely, but months and months have passed by and you're still kind of stuck in the same phase or mode of thinking where it's kind of like, she did this and she did that, and um woe is me, and I'm depressed and I'm just upset, and I can't get over. At some point you got to start thinking to yourself, okay, what can I do to kind of change this situation? And again, that may be where I didn't struggle with that depression, so I may, that may be where I can't see where that person is coming from, right? Because when it comes to um like I said before, when I was going through, my struggles, um, with the separation and well, it wasn't just separation. We would, like, when I was told we were getting divorced, it was in the like the week of my daughter's third birthday. It was like, yeah, I don't think we got any hope. Done deal. I'm getting a lawyer next month and we moving all that stuff. And 5 months later, shoot, what is it, even 5 months later? Yeah, 5 months and a week or two or whatever later, it was all done. So, I say all that to say is that a lot of guys I notice in that group, I think some of them really do struggle with depression. So if you're really struggling with depression, like it's been diagnosed, you've had mental health issues for a while, then you need to go back to that counselor, that therapist, and figure out other things you can do to, get over what you're struggling with, or having issues with. Those of us who were kind of hit with the depression, the divorce thing, and kind of maybe went through a little bit of struggle, like that week or whichever, I had a few nights of, really couldn't eat. My diet was off. I mean, I couldn't eat. I didn't know what the future held. Really couldn't, think too well. Was constantly on my thoughts. Like, what was I going to do? Not being able to see my babies every day. But the thing is really making sure, in order to take care of yourself, sometimes you have to think outside of the box, and you have to think, okay, well, who else may know my situation where I can kind of go and talk to this person. It's good to talk to people who are there for you in general. Like, I've been blessed to have my parents, my children's godparents, um, other people who I've interacted with and gotten to know through my Orthodox faith, Christian faith. Um, but also, with kind of just trying different things. I think when, I was like, on my journey, but, becoming an Orthodox Christian. And so I went to a church, you know, um, in kind of middle Georgia, and met a brother who was a divorced dad. He's been divorced dad, I think about 4 years, maybe 5 years. And he got it. Like, I mean, we had a conversation, and my man, like, he was saying stuff. Remember, we both said stuff to each other. He said something to me. I was like, man, were you like, you either were in my house, or like you overheard me through I don't know if I was praying to God and you heard it or what, but you saying too much stuff that's close to what happened to me. And so we both were kind of laughing about it. He was saying the same thing. Like, he had a guy who who told him, he said, man, you either like you either been sleeping with my wife, or like somehow you went through what I'm going through. And it's interesting, like a lot of divorced dads, in the group, like I said, I don't know about divorced moms. I don't know what y'all we've gone through. But a lot of divorced dads, we kind of like, nah, I feel you. Like, you ain't the first one, homie. Like, you're not this is not original. This is not new. Ain't nothing new under the sun, as they say. Old folks used to say. And that's the truth. Like, you see, like, almost time and time and time and time again, what a lot of guys, were going through. And, kind of one of the things that, I mentioned it a lot of and stuff on YouTube, what they call the manosphere. And I probably do a live stream on that maybe someday too. But a lot of those guys on there, kind of, it's really a bunch of channels, a bunch of guys, really trying to have guys thinking about what big manhood, what it is to be a man. One of my mistakes, and I think what a lot of some of the mistakes of some of the guys in the divorce dads group, um, as well, was one, not catching those red flags, you know, um, but two, not chasing your purpose, And for me, I was great with the ideas. I was always working on ideas, but not fully executing them. And so, not chasing my purpose, not ever getting successful, not ever making more money, right? Um, and not really being the leader in the household. My ex was like, she felt, financially unsafe with me. And so, although I would have never wanted, divorce to be the solution, uh, you know, taking myself out of my shoes and be putting myself in hers. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Well, no, actually, no, I can't. No, I know women who went through worse and they wrote it out. But again, looking at it from that person's point of view, not just my own or other Christian women or whatever. Um, I get it. You know what I'm saying? And so you just move on putting your best foot forward. But the thing is, with a lot of other guys out, divorced dads out there, they get so stuck on, why does she do this? Why does she do that? Why does she? And sometimes it's a part of that just radically accepting, hey, okay, put it on yourself. If I failed, right, I don't got to look at her anymore. Okay, let me look at what I can do to make myself better. My ex-wife has said some things about me, like, which basically was, financial unsafe. So I never made more money than her, which I didn't think was a big deal when I was younger and when we first got together, but it was a big deal. I didn't take care of my health like I should have. So I got in the comfort zone. I didn't really chase my purpose. I really didn't chase, excellence. And so that being the case, now can kind of, take the next, 4.5 minutes. To go into that right now resolution, right? So my right now resolution that started back in May, really been working on each month, is working on what? Chasing my purpose. Okay. So chasing my purpose, chasing excellence, and chasing my purpose and excellence means I gotta work on my body. I gotta work on all this right up in here. I gotta work on losing that. Right now, I've done fairly well, the last, 4 or 5 years. No. About the last 3 years. I was looking at some old pictures of when my son was around, a little baby, and my daughter was about to be born. I was chubby. I think I was pushing 300 pounds at one point in time, about 296. I don't think I ever quite got to 300. And at a 5'5" frame, just body, mass index and all that stuff and all this fat, it shouldn't be that big. Like at 5'5", most I probably should be weighing is probably about 200, probably, if 200, probably even 190 or something like that, right? So, and I'll be transparent. I'm about 250 right now. So that's another 50 pounds I have to go of really working to cut that weight off. And that's kind of the thing about that right now resolution I'll touch on for the last 3 minutes, which is, and it's not nothing I've come up with. I'm not that wise or smart or brilliant or anything like that. I remember it had to be a preacher or something like that when I was a kid who talked about right now resolutions that, people, and it's probably not as popular now. Maybe, I don't know. But back in the 90s, in the early 2000s, I mean, when I was a kid, maybe in the 80s, I was born in 85. I remember a lot of, you would hear many times more women. I'm not putting it off on women, but many times I think it was more women in like commercials and stuff. You trying to make a right now resolution to lose weight. And I think men, kind of gravitated towards that at some point too. So then it kind of became a thing where, those nutritional meals and, I can't remember the name of that company. I think even Oprah was connected to it for a while. But, their goal was to get you to buy that meal plan, buy that, that gym membership, right? And what they started noticing was, I think, people did studies and stuff like that over time. It's like a lot of people was buying those meals, um, getting gym memberships, and they still stayed fat. Like they might have hit it, for, maybe a day, maybe a few days, maybe a week, maybe a few weeks, maybe even a month. They really didn't stay consistent with it. And so the thing is that instead of doing a New Year's resolution, like I'm gonna wait to New Year's Eve, I'm gonna wait to New Year's Day, and I'm gonna get on my game. It's like, no, don't wait till New Year's Day. Don't wait till any day. Do it now. Um, during I'd be again transparency. I had to say I had struggled during a little bit during this Christmas break because I had my kids every day. We went to see my folks up in North Georgia, and so when I went and saw them, I wasn't as consistent like trying to eat like I normally had been eating. Where I eat more salads and pop more fruit and trying to do my little push-ups and get my little crunches and sit-ups and stuff like that. And more consistent, try to get more consistent with the gym and stuff like. Which is still a bit of a struggle here because when I get my kids, I really can't go. So I try to do stuff here at the where I live. And um, so anyway, long story short, that's kind of been the thing for me is that, during the Christmas break, it's kind of been a struggle, honestly, but not giving myself an excuse to work on myself. And that's kind of the thing I would encourage my fellow divorced fathers. I'm going to try to make sure I end today at 20 minutes. So that's next 50 seconds or 40 seconds. So, but really making sure we work on being an encouragement and a blessing to one another, right? You're going through a divorce, you need to make sure you seek out a community of brothers. A lot of stuff, is done online. So try to seek out online, what you can do and who may understand what you're going through. Don't feel like you got to go through that alone. It's unfortunate that divorce is real, and that there'll be others who get divorced in the future. But that doesn't mean that you need to go through that experience and that journey by yourself. I'll probably touch on things that you should do and think about when you are going through that phase or whichever, or it's presented to you. But at this moment, I'm just going to say that the biggest thing is making sure that you seek that community to help build you up if you don't already have it. Because a lot of dudes in the group was basically saying, well, I don't got friends. Men tend to be like that. We go to work, we come home, we with our wife, play with our kids. If you got a wife, kids, or by yourself or whatever. So they're not really, having friends like that. So you got to make sure you stay with some kind of community, church, some type of friendship, something somewhere, to help yourself. Work on those right now resolutions, which is, like I said, again, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're trying to work on yourself so you can be the best version of you possible. The thing I keep going over in my mind, or I try to anyway, is that, is try to remember to grow, chase my purpose, grow in excellence, wanting to grow in success, not just because I want to, have a bunch of stuff so I can kind of show off and be like, yeah, I'm all this, whichever, but so that when my children grow older, they can be able to see that, okay, he really did go work on himself, right? He really did go do what it took to be a better version of himself. He chased his purpose. He chased his excellence. He chased, success. He didn't just stay in the ideas lane. He tried to figure out ways to execute that idea so he could be successful, so he could put us in a better position financially. Because now the goal, I'm 36, so I can't make any more excuses. I can't stay in my comfort zone. I got to do what I need to do to build generational wealth so my children, children's children, maybe even children's children can be good, and so they can know how to be successful and have successful lives themselves, right? So again, two things, all right? Divorced dads, get that community, stay encouraged, okay? Work on yourself. You need going through depression, get the help you need. Get therapists. Talk to somebody, get that community going, and talk to other brothers who are divorced or who've been through divorce before. Have somebody that pour their life into you. Okay, make that a right now resolution. Don't just sit and wallow in I think that's the right word, wallow. But stay in self pitying and depression and not moving forward because it's not a good look, and ultimately it's not going to do you any good, right? And if you have children, they're going to be affected too. So that's the thing about it, is that sometimes get so caught up in our depression and the other stuff we're going through is that we forget the impact it's going to have on our kids. That's what if nothing else, if you love your children, if you can't work on it for yourself, work on it for them. That's my thing. Because otherwise you don't want them to grow up, having issues themselves because you couldn't be the father they needed you to be. And that's a part of being an intentional father. So right now, resolutions for divorced dads, right now, resolutions for anybody. Don't wait to work on yourself. Do it now. All right. Peace out. Something to think about.